Hi guys, I wanted to make a quick video explaining the annotated bibliography and project proposal assignment to you, since I know that this sheet is a little bit overwhelming and some of you might have questions about what this assignment is asking you to do. So I decided that making a video and explaining the assignment and giving you an example would probably be more beneficial than me trying to break this assignment down, because I do think it's important that you read it, but I also want to make sure that you understand it. So the first thing to know is you'll want to read this on your own. It explains the purpose of the assignment, but this assignment has two parts: your project proposal and your annotated bibliography. So your first annotated bibliography needs to have 8 sources total, and then your project proposal's 350 words, so pretty brief. What we're going to do is the last week of Unit 1, which is week 6, we're going to conduct peer review before you submit your annotated bibliographies and proposals to me on Friday. So how this is going to work is that your first draft is going to be due for peer review by Monday, February 15th by 11:59 p.m. I'm going to do a separate video on peer review, but I changed the due date from Tuesday to Monday because I realized that some of you might have schedules that don't allow you to do peer review in just one day. So it's due a day earlier, but you will have time after you get your peers' feedback to revise it and polish it up before you turn it in to me on Friday. So the second step is that once you get your partner's draft for peer review, you're going to complete the peer review assignment and then submit it back to them by Wednesday, February 17th by 11:59 p.m. Then finally, once you get your peer-reviewed draft back from your partner, you're going to spend the next few days revising it, responding to their feedback, and then you're going to submit your final draft for a ghost grade and my feedback to Blackboard by Friday, February 19th at 11:59 p.m. So do make sure that you are being very thoughtful and intentional when you do peer review, because I do check the drafts that you guys upload, and I also check your peer reviews just to make sure that everything is running smoothly. So we've talked a little bit about an annotated bibliography, but hopefully this breaks it down and explains it even further for you. So your annotated bibliography for this assignment needs to include 3 academic or scholarly peer-reviewed articles, at least 2 popular press sources, and at least 1 non-text-based source. So it could be a TED Talk, a YouTube video, a podcast, etc. So I highly suggest using for all of these the research tools provided by the Thomas Cooper Library that I've uploaded to Blackboard in the Virtual Library Week folder. That's under this week, week 5, but I've also put it under course content. So for each source, you need to write a proper MLA citation and annotation that does these 3 things. So in short, you do the same thing you've been doing for your ILPs. You summarize the source's main evidence or claim. You assess the credibility based on the elements listed, but pick which ones convey the reliability of your source the best. And then you reflect on the suitability, utility, or applicability, essentially how you could use this for your own research argumentative essay and to defend or refute, etc., your own argument. So I've provided an example of what that looks like down here. So typical, you're going to put your name, my name, English 102, and your section number and the date. You'll then want to do your title, annotated bibliography, and proposal, and then you can do a colon and put your topic briefly. So for instance, just to provide an example, I've done required vaccinations for public school students. So an example of what your annotations and citations should look like is this. So I just quickly found this article on the Thomas Cooper Library database. So I have it cited here in MLA format. And then beneath it, I've offered the summary, the evaluation of it, and how I could use it in my argument. So all of this in yellow is the summary. All of this in green is my evaluation of its credibility, so my defense of why I think it's credible. And then in blue is how I could use this in my argument. So for instance, I say, I would like you to use this source's research and policy recommendations to defend my argument that vaccination should be mandatory for public school children, etc. So you are basically telling me why this source is going to be useful to you and how you can use it in your own argument. The next thing that you're going to do is this project proposal, which is basically you explaining to me what your project is going to be and what your research argumentative essay is going to be on. So what that is going to do, this has some questions here that you should ask yourself when you are drafting this proposal, but it needs to be no less than 350 words, but no more than 500. Please make sure to follow that word count. You identify your topic and your main purpose, claims, or questions. So even if you don't have a solid thesis statement, you should at least be putting the questions or the parameters of your argument that you're currently focusing on. You'll briefly explain how you will or plan to use your sources. So what this might look like is you might say, I'm going to use all of my scholarly and academic sources to provide facts and evidence and data to defend my argument. And then I'm going to use my popular press sources to explain what the public reaction to this issue is, etc. So how are they going to work to defend your argument? And then very importantly, you're going to include a working thesis statement in bold. I emphasize working because you will likely revise this and you might even change your argument the more that you research. That's totally fine. You just do need to have a draft so far so that I know that you're on the right track. So I've provided here a tip. So I recommend writing your project proposal and thesis statement after you've completed your annotated bibliography, because oftentimes analyzing your sources together and figuring out how you could use them in an argument will help you craft your argument and your thesis statement. So based on the research example that I've offered above, I've offered a sample thesis statement here. And then I just listed 3 really helpful resources for how to write thesis statements in case you guys want a refresher on that. So hopefully this is helpful and you feel confident about this, but if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to ask.